So I've been doing a lot of thinking recently on movies I'd like to talk about on this page, but it's been quite challenging because there's just like so many motion pictures, a lot that I love, and there's just too much to yap about. So how do I narrow it down to one thing? But randomly I had this eureka moment, and it happened to be that meme of Kylo Ren shirtless. So let's just talk to Last Jedi.
Let the past die.
One of the premier divisive films in the modern era, where if you say the wrong thing around the wrong person, they might take you around back of the barn and empty the clip. Star Wars Last Jedi not only broke all of Star Wars, but broke the movie industry as a whole. And it's a shame because it's actually pretty great. Now, I know this is a conversation I should have opened 7 years ago.
You're late.
But just last year, I finally got it. I finally understood why this film rocks. On the contrary to it being this big space adventure, for all the family, it's actually quite the tough pill to swallow because at its core, it's a critique about us. About our love for this beautiful saga spanning nearly 50 years strong. Because just like real life, it's hard to let go. It's hard to move on from something so comfortable like Luke versus the Empire, Anakin's fall to the dark side, the Jedi versus the Sith. It's familiar. It's good versus evil. It's a tale as old as time, and it works every single time until it doesn't. This universe has seen regimes repackaged and fall over and over and over, and even when good does prevail, they find a way to throw it away. It's tiring, and Kylo Ren figured that out. For me, this all boils down to one moment, and that would be the throne scene. Kylo has slain Snoke to become the new supreme leader and destroy the past. Kylo stomps out his demons and then with the help of Rey engages in one of the most badass fights in all of Star Wars. I do not care. Yeah, that's right, I said it. The Kylo Ren and Rey fight versus the Praetorian Guards rules, and I won't let someone talking about, the fictional choreography for the laser space fight makes no sense. Stop it. Turn down your Google Excel spreadsheet brain for like 2 seconds and just appreciate greatness. Look at those gorgeous reds in the back. Let it take you and transport you just somewhere for some minute. Now, after they dispatch the guards by the skin of their teeth, Kylo then asks Rey to join him. He pleads with her to let the past die. The Skywalkers, the Sith, the Jedi, the Rebels, even Snoke, because who on earth needs another wrinkly empire pulling the strings from the background in a new trilogy? But what's really cool about this scene is that he's not just talking to Rey, he's talking to us, the viewers watching. Because what he's bringing up is nothing more than a cat and mouse game where the universe gets damned for eternity. No one grows, no one learns, and just like us watching the same story over and over, where your brain is none the more stimulated and you're trapped in this never-ending loop in the past. You grow too complacent, and then just over 7 years later, you may have a myriad of subpar television shows clinging onto familiar faces in this expansive universe, solely to just turn a profit. In 2017, I was much like Rey in this situation, in denial and offended. I didn't know where this franchise was headed, and for some reason I thought that was a bad thing. In 2025, however, that you're holding on, let go, just hits that much harder. I don't know, maybe Star Wars should be more than a handful of iconic characters that we learned about some time ago. Now, it's not just that scene that resonates with me. I'd argue there's another one that exemplifies everything that I've ever wanted out of Star Wars. That being Yoda's conversation with Luke, which is quite literally one of the most beautiful scenes out of any of the Star Wars films. It unpacks everything that we need to hear in this beautiful homage to this galaxy far, far away. Here we have an imperfect hero going against his legend. We've seen Luke be this beacon of idealism and savior of the galaxy, but even legends have their faults. Even someone like Luke Skywalker isn't above failure and learning to be better, which is one of the most important lessons and takeaways from this film. Yoda tells Luke,
"We are what they grow beyond. That is the true burden of all masters."
life is about constant evolution. Darwin brought that stuff up like 200 years ago. Stanley Kubrick in 2001's A Space Odyssey visualized it, and now we are here. This doesn't just apply to some tiny green space wizard and his apprentice, it applies to all of our lives. Especially the way we consume this art. We have a duty to always strive for something more and grow even if we don't want to. What's sad is that since this film, it would appear that Star Wars has refused to move on, and in large part, we are at fault for that. We've not allowed this world to grow beyond what we know and allowed it to reach greater heights. We've yearned for the feeling the past once gave us, and no matter how much nostalgia or however many cameos we see, it's never, ever enough. That right there is failure, and like Master Yoda has said time and time again, it's the most valuable teacher, so use it. Star Wars has unlimited potential in this vast, ever-growing universe. So why wouldn't we want something better than what we already have got? It's like being a Jedi Master and not wanting your Padawan to be greater than you ever were. Now I could go on and on and on about this film because I truly think it's one of the most daring big studio projects of all time. Rian Johnson gives us one of the most jaw-dropping visual blockbusters of the 21st century, while also managing to challenge our preconceived notions of this entire franchise in the most sincere manner. There's so many interesting character dynamics and arcs and storylines. We get the most pure version of Luke Skywalker ever put to screen, arguably, by the end of this film. There's just so much to love. Now, it isn't without its faults. I mean, Canto Bite, Finn. But even that serves a purpose into the overall narrative. But I would be remiss if I didn't emphasize how badly they butchered Finn's character into basically being a caricature that just screams, Rey! But I'll hold my tongue because I see the bigger picture here. So like I said, Star Wars The Last Jedi broke Star Wars. It's why Rise of Skywalker even exists, to solely discredit and undo its genius.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Hell, it even broke the movie industry. I mean, it's why you get a bunch of major studio blockbusters taking zero risks because they don't want this kind of situation to happen again. And it's why we end up with a bunch of random CGI remakes or sequels because they don't want The Last Jedi to ever happen again. Wow, I sounded like such an unk there. But it's true, studios learned all of the wrong reasons as a result of how divisive this film became. It's no different than studios seeing the success of Barbie because of Greta Gerwig's amazing vision and message, and then deciding, you know what, let's make some more board game movies. Or Netflix seeing Squid Games become a staple in pop culture because of its criticisms on the evils of capitalism, and then deciding, let's make a reality TV show with the same premise, and then also milk this into a franchise. You open up Pandora's box, you gotta face the consequences. Moral of the story, if there's anything you take away here, it's that people can change. People can grow. A movie that they despised nearly a decade ago, they can learn to love. And no matter how weird or scary growth and change can be, it's not all bad. Unless you're Finn. And in that case, it's pretty terrible. Peace.